What's going on, everybody? My name's Erico, and today I'm gonna go over my Noble Knight deck that got me into King of Games. Before that, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what deck profiles you would like to see me showcase on my channel for you guys next. Not only that, if this video gets 20 likes, I will do a tutorial on how to play Noble Knights. Now let's get started. First of all, you do want to run the balance ability. Off the top of my head, I know Akiza, Yugi, Kaiba from Duel Monster World, and Bakura can run this skill, but there are probably more characters. I'm just drawing blanks at the moment, but yeah, that's an ability you definitely want to run in this deck. And you know, you want to run for spells for this ability to be very successful. All you could run is the Noble Knight equip cards. Any other spells will throw off your consistency in this deck and make you brick earlier, early game. So we're gonna get started with the heart of the deck, Meteora. So with Meteora, this card right here is what gets your engine going. So you equip a spell card, and it becomes a dark, and it becomes a level 5. Its level goes up by 1. So once per turn, you could activate his effect by destroying the equipped card and special summon a level 4 Noble Knight monster from your deck to the field. And the main card you do want to fetch out with this is Boars, and I'll go into details why later on. Next we have Noble Knight Pelinor. Pelinor is very, very strong. So once you have a spell, Noble Knight spell equipped to him, you could target that card, destroy it, and destroy a face-up monster that your opponent controls. And after destroying it, you get to draw a card. So say for example, if you pop any of these spell cards, which are re-equipable, if they're destroyed, sent to the graveyard, you could bring them back and equip it back to your monster. You could just bring it back like I mentioned, and Pelinor won't lose the spell card, the equip that he has. But the only downside is, once you activate this effect, he won't be able to attack. So keep that in mind, while using him. Like if you're going for game and you think you're gonna win, make sure you could exceed, a rank 4, so you could actually attack and win the game. Because I've seen people misplay, using this card while grinding up on the ladder. Next up, we have Noble Knight Dristan. Very, very good card. The main reason we use him is to combo off with this card right here. I'll get into the trap. So basically, when a spell card is equipped to him, it's a mandatory effect. You have to destroy a face-up card on the field. It doesn't matter if it's a monster, continuous spell, field spell. You have to destroy a face-up card on the field. If there are no other face-up cards on the field, it has to destroy itself or the equipped card that it has. Alright, next we're gonna go to Merlin. Merlin's first effect is amazing. So when you draw him, you could tribute this card, special summon one Noble Knight monster from your deck. So the main card you always want to target is Noble Knight Meteora to special summon different monsters. Just make sure, keep a side note, once there's other monsters on the field other than him, you can't use this effect to special summon. So you mainly want to target Noble Knight Meteora when you have no monsters on the field and you just summon him alone. And if you do have monsters on the field, you could, depending on the situation, you can either go with this Dristan, or you could go with Noble Knight Pelinor, or if you really need it, you could go with Boars. So you could search your Noble Knight equip cards and add them to your hand. and or graveyard if you need to field them up for your grave. And the second part of Merlin, you know, during either player's turn, if you have two of the same, you know, ranked, level monsters, you could banish this card from your graveyard and exceed immediately. This is so good. So say if your opponent decides to Karma Cut or Raigeki Break one of your monsters, or anything that targets to destroy, or if they declare an attack on a monster, you could activate this quick play effect and exceed one of these guys, you know, whatever, you know, levels you have on the field. And you know, it messes up their plans, it misses timing, misses their targets, you know, whatever the situation may call for. Merlin is a very, very strong staple card in this deck. You do not want to sleep on this card. Next up, we have Boars. So Boars has the same ability, will be becoming a level 5 and turning into a dark type monster when equipped with a spell. His effect is, during your main phase, you can reveal 3 Noble Arm cards from your deck, have your opponent randomly add one of them to your hand, and send the rest to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Noble Knight Boars once per turn. So that being said, you know, you could grab, you know, any of these, you know, spells right here, and including these traps, because they are definitely Noble Arms. The only card you could definitely not grab is Glory of the Noble Knights. But that being said, you know, the main cards you want to be sending to the graveyard are the trap, because, you know, during your opponent's turn or during your turn, you could banish this card and special summon a, you know, a level 4 Noble Knight monster to your field, and this could be beneficial for you making you know, rank 4s or rank 5s or anything that you really need at the moment. So, you know, this card is really good to send, you know, our one Gwen, Queen of the Noble Knights, Queen of the Noble Arms, I should say. So, you know, sending her to the graveyard is very beneficial, because you could activate her once per turn from your hand or graveyard and equip it and treat it as a spell card to any Noble Knight monster. So now, what this card is great for, you know, if it's equipped to a light monster and a monster would be destroyed by a card effect, you could destroy this card instead. But if it's equipped to a dark type monster, which, you know, these two actually become dark, they actually work as you could activate Gwen's effect to automatically destroy the attacking monster before damage up. So a lot of people actually forget that secondary effect and end up attacking a monster equipped with Gwen that, you know, appears to be light, but, you know, it's actually, they become dark and they end up losing their monster. This card is very good in its own aspect. The fact that it has, you know, that dark ability is really great. There's a lot of monster removal like Raigeki Break, so, you know, stuff, if it is equipped to a light monster, it could definitely, you know, sacrifice itself instead, and, you know, which is great because you could always, you know, free up space in your spell and trap zones. Next up, we have Glory of the Noble Knights. So you could target one Noble Knight monster you control and equip a spell card from your deck that could equip to that target. So essentially, you could grab, you know, any of these cards right here and equip it to your monster. So say if you're, you know, you have this guy right here, right? He's 2200, and a Blue Eyes declared an attack, and you have this face down and an open slot in your spell and trap zone. You activate this, and then you could grab, you know, Noble Arms of Galvant, and, you know, and everything that, you know, was activated last happens first in Yu-Gi-Oh. What ends up happening, this card gets, you know, set on the field, activated on the field, and it gets equipped to your monster, and your monster gains 1000 attack, so making it, you know, 3200 against Blue Eyes is 3000, you know. And it just, since he already declared attack, you know, that's gonna resolve destroying his blue eyes. And I only use that as an example where, you know, this card is, you know, really good in the right hands and right situations. And you could literally search out any equipped card that you need. Now I'm gonna go over the equipped cards that, you know, you need to know. So Noble Arms ARF is a very, very good. So it gets rid of back row face down cards, all face down cards, but your you know, equipped monsters lose 500 attack. So, you know, that's the only downside, but you could destroy face down defense or face down spell or traps. People forget about the face down, you know, defense monsters that this card could destroy. So not only that, you could equip this card to any warrior type. So if you're facing an opponent in the mirror match, or if you're fighting your opponent that has a warrior type monster on the field, you could actually equip it to them and, you know, activate this effect to lower their attack points and destroy a back row. So, you know, not a lot of people know that, but it's a very, very good card. And the same for all these equips. Once they get destroyed, you could activate their effect to re-equip if there's a face-up Noble Knight monster on the field. Next up, we have Caliburn. So Caliburn is really, really good. There's a play turn if you do the turn 1 combo, you know, with Meteorot summoning Boars and then going into your rank 5, you could, you know, gain 1,500. You know, once per turn this is activated, you could, and equipped to a monster, you could gain 500 life points. So this, you know, could put you at, you know, 5,500 in the beginning of the duel, which is powerful because, you know, we're only starting with 4,000 life points in this game, unlike the TCG where you start with 8,000 life points. You know, every life point counts. Everything counts in this game. So you gotta, you know, you gotta know how to manage your resources when it comes to that. Next up, we have Noble Arms Gallatin. So Gallatin just essentially gives your monster 1,000 attack, and when you gain 1,000 attack, after the next standby phase, you lose 200 attack, and yeah, is during each standby phase you lose 200 attack. So you want to make sure to, you know, try to pop the card or exceed so you can reuse it. It's a very strong card. You got to make sure you're using it at the right time to push your game or to get rid of monster cards that, you know, stronger monster cards like Blue Eyes or Desperado or any of that. Next up, we have the protection of the deck. So, you know, basically once per turn, if your monster would be destroyed, you know, you could negate it. So that's, you know, this card will take the hit, and if it will get destroyed a second time, then that's when your monster will get destroyed. So this is extra protection to make sure, you know, your monster stays on the field for next turn. Not really much to say on that. Next, we have Rakeki Break. Discard 1 card on the field and destroy it. It pairs great if you have any of these, because you want these in the graveyard. Next, we have Canadia. You guys know what Canadia does. Just target a monster, you know, set it to defense, and then once per chain, you could special summon this in defense mode. We don't really use that, you know, side of the effect, but it could be situational good. You know, we have Floodgate Trap Hole, you know, self-explanatory, protects you. Next up, we have until Noble Arms are needed once again. So basically the first effect is once you set this card and activate it, however many cards there are on the field that are equipped to Noble Knights, you could excavate the top deck. So say if I have 2 spells, you know, these 2 equipped to Meteorot, and I activate this, I get to excavate the top 2 cards of my deck, and I choose one of those and add it to my hand, which is very good, very situational. If, you know, it's your turn and, you know, you get to look at the, you know, top 2 cards and pick one and add it to your hand. Now the main reason we want this card in the graveyard during either player's turn, you could banish this card and special summon a 1 Noble Knight monster with a different name of the cards you control in your graveyard. So you could special summon, Meteorot. You could special summon Pelinor. You could special summon Driston or Boars. It's so good for rank 4s. It's like insane. But yes, that's why we run this card at 3. Very busted, and you could definitely use Regeki Break to pitch it, and Karma Cut. And one of the MVP cards of this deck is Karma Cut. Very good meta card. Discard 1 and target face-up monster and banish it. Very, very good. There's a lot of graveyard effects going on, so Karma Cut has to be it. All right, on to the extra deck. We have Sacred Noble Knight of the King Artorias. I can't say his name. Sorry, chat. But anyways, 2 level 5 monsters, and when this is all the Noble Knight monsters. Noble Knight monsters when they're special summoned. When this card is XYZ summoned, you can target 3 Noble Arms equipped spells with different names in your graveyard and equip it to this card. Once per turn, you could detach 1 card, and you could destroy any monster on the field, face down or face up, doesn't matter, just destroys it. And once this card leaves the field, sent to the graveyard, it must be sent to the graveyard. You get to special summon a level 4 level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard to your field, which is actually pretty good. Actually, 1 level 4 or higher Noble Knight monster on the field in your graveyard. So yeah, pretty much he's just a 22 beater, and you mainly want to have him equipped with Noble Arms, Caliburn, or Galvant. You really don't want to have ARF on it. It's only very situational that you're gonna have ARF on it. But yeah. Next up, we have starleadge Paladino. So he's very good for pushing for a game, because all you have to do once he's Exceed Summon, rank 4, very easy to make in this deck. Detach 2 monsters and target 1 monster, and it goes to 0. His attack goes to 0, so you enter battle and you attack, destroy it. But yeah, no, that's the very reason you run this card, is just to get over monsters that you can't in a quick pinch, or if you're pushing for game. In this game, format where you only have 4,000 life points, losing 2,000 is pretty big. So you definitely want to run this card. Next up, we have this rank 4. So basically, when this card is XYZ summoned, it does the same thing. Grab 3 Noble Knights, equip Arms card, equip them to this monster however you like. Once per turn, you could detach 1 XYZ material, and you could target however many, based on how many equipped cards you have face up on the field that are Noble Knight. You could destroy that many set cards on the field. So back row removal, and it's 2,000 attack. Very, very good. Could become, potentially, 3,500 if equipped with these 2 cards. Very, very good. Next, we have Gaia the Dragon Charger, the Thunder Charger. So basically, this card is very good, pushes for game 2. If your opponent, is trying to stall you out with defense monsters, all you have to do is overlay this card on top of, this Noble Knight, the rank 5. Just attack for game. That's all. That's the only requirement to summon this card. That being said, what I usually like to do is, when I have ARF, is use it 2 or 3 times with my Noble Knight, and pop their cards, and then once this card its attack, it's pitiful, I'll overlay it with Gaia Dragon and just push for game and just have more attack points. It is a 26 beater after all. So, and the last card of my deck is Sacred Noble Knight of the King. This card is busted, so you detach 1 material from this card, and it just bounces a card back to your opponent's hand. So you could exceed with as many Noble Knight monsters. So you could exceed with 3, and then you could detach all 3 at the same turn, and bounce all cards back to the field to their hand, which is very great because there are a few monsters that get benefits from being destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Sending them back to your hand could be very, very detrimental to your opponent. So this card catches people off guard and you just push for game. And here's the benefit of running this card: if it gets destroyed by battle or if it gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon either these 2 exceed monsters with 1 material using itself as a material. So next turn you get a free pop, or you get a free back row removal, and these still get special summoned with the spell cards in the graveyard. The spell equips, you get to reattach them, which makes it crazy. So this is my deck profile that I use. If you guys want me to go in depth with combos, I want to see 20 likes on the video, and I'll do a tutorial on how to play Noble Knights. Let's also go and check out a Duel replay where I use this deck in action, so you guys can see how I play this deck.
Duel! Duel!